Hey guys, this is John from Sonic Drive Studio. I hope you enjoyed that tune. I had a blast making it with my ESP guitars. Those are some great guitars. The one for the rhythm parts is my ESP Eclipse 1 in aged white with EMG pickups. And the one for the leads is my KH602 LTD Kirk Hammett signature guitar, which I love for solos. What I'd like to do now is just go over my presets quickly to show you how I got the sounds in this song. I think the Helix sounds great in this song and it works very well for heavy metal. What I did for the entire song is use the Cali IV amp model. And for the rhythm part here, I'm using the Cali IV lead. These are the basic amp settings that I'm using. Lead gain is set to about 8. Lead drive is set to 7.2. I turned down the bass here. This makes the amp sound way tighter. And the mid control is set to 5.2. Treble is set to 7.6. Channel volume to 8.8. Presence was turned up to 7.6. The master is set to 5.1. I think I turned this down a little bit. The default settings were a bit high. They don't sound bad, but the amp sounds a bit tighter and crunchier when you turn this down a little bit. Sag is set to 2.7. I did not touch the ripple, bias, and bias X settings. Now, the famous Mesa Boogie graphical equalizer was used, of course. The 80 Hz bass frequency is set to +1. The low mids are set to -2. The mid frequency is set to -7.2. The upper mids are set to -1.9. And the high frequencies are set to +1. This is quite important to get that metal sound. Let's go over the rest of the chain. I am using the input gate. Threshold is set to -61, and the decay is set to the fastest setting. Then I'm using another noise gate. I found that this gives you the tightest response with the least amount of hiss and background noise. Now, something that's important to note is that I'm using the input pad setting for my EMG equipped guitars, because the output of those guitars was a bit too hot for the Helix. That's why I'm bringing some of the level back with this gain block. I have it set to about 5. That's going into the amp. And then, of course, a very important part of the chain is the impulse response. Just as in my other videos, I am using an OwnHammer IR. I'm loving this one for metal. It's the OwnHammer 4x12 traditional V70 file. It's the OwnHammer 1 mix from the Quick Start folder. And you can find this cab in the California Duo Impulse Response Pack. It's an amazing pack with 2 Mesa Boogie cabinets, and it features 4 speaker options in each cabinet. The V70 is basically a V30, but it has a really warm and big sound to it. This must be my favorite Mesa Boogie IR of all times. I really recommend that you try this out. If you're not into metal and if you prefer more of a rock sound, there are also other speaker options in this cab that work great for other genres too. So I have the low cut set to 91 Hz. We don't need all the low end rumble beneath there. I'm not using the high cut. Like I said in my last video, if you use a proper IR, you won't need to use this a lot. That's it for the impulse response block. Then I'm using some very subtle reverb set to room. Decay is set a bit lower at 2.5 and the mix is set to 25%. That's all that I'm doing here. And I'm ending the chain with a little bit of EQ. What I'm doing here is just cutting a little bit of honky low mids at 300 Hz, just to make some room for the bass guitar in that frequency area. I love this preset. I hope it works well for you too for great crunchy metal tones. Let me know in the comments section if you dig this tone as well. Then I also want to show you the wah lead preset quickly. These are the amp settings that I'm using. They're a little bit different to the settings from the rhythm guitar tone. A little bit more bass and stuff, a little bit more gain. And the equalizer is set a little bit differently as well. Less low end and more mids. And more high end as well. I'm using the same OwnHammer impulse response pack, the California Duo. And I'm using the same cab, the 4x12 traditional. But in this case, I'm using the V60 option, which is a little bit brighter than the V70 option. It sounds a little bit more aggressive. I prefer that one for the lead. And then for the wah settings, I'm using the throaty wah. It sounds really good to my ears. I love the low end response on this one a lot. I think I lowered the low frequency here and maybe changed the high frequency a little bit. It's a great wah, so it doesn't need a lot of tweaking. And I'm also using a drive block here, just a Tube Screamer, Scream 808 model. Gain is turned all the way down and the tone is set to 6.5. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit subscribe and follow us on facebook.com/sonicdrivestudio to stay up to date on more Helix videos. Thanks a lot for watching. See ya!